देखता है बातें करती हैं बातें करने जा रहे हैं वही क्या
Ladies and gentlemen, please may I have your attention? Thank you. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Frank Islam, who is an Aligarhian, Aligarh alumnus, an Aligarh. And I'm especially proud that he is a pretty heavyweight member of our Aligarh Alumni Association of Washington, D.C. At present, Mr. Islam is CEO and chairman of FI Investment Group, which is a holding company that owns healthcare and IT companies. There's a long list of credentials, so I'll just highlight some of them. Previously, Mr. Islam was CEO of QSS Group, an IT company with revenues of over $300 million. Mr. Islam sold QSS in January of this year for $250 million. Mr. Islam has a master's degree in computer science from University of Colorado. He has won numerous awards, including being recognized as Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year 1999. Under his leadership, QSS was ranked as the #1 company among the top 100 privately owned corporations owned by Indo-Americans for 3 consecutive years. In effect, Mr. Islam founded and nurtured a business that within a decade grew from scratch to a multi-million-dollar company that employed over 1,500 professionals. By any standard, that is a phenomenal accomplishment. I personally believe that this makes him the most accomplished business person in our community, especially his special presence in Washington is a source of strength and inspiration for the Aligarh community of DC. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Frank.
Well, thank you very much, Rob, for your wonderful introduction. I pay a lot of taxes for that, so that's on the compliment. This is my first visit to Aligarh Management Foundation, so I recognize my president of the with my teacher as well. So thank you very much for inviting me. Appreciate your time. You can hear me? Is that good enough? It's allocated we have only 15 minutes. Unfortunately, my speech will be a little bit longer, so I asked the chairman, who's been kind enough to the professors, he always, walks in time, so make sure that we do the right things. I hope you guys can hear me now? Yes. Our guests and friends to this occasion, thanks my host for giving me the opportunity to address you today on the subject of the empowerment of the Indian minorities to business entrepreneurship. I congratulate the Federation of Aligarh Alumni for its continued success in honoring the legacy of Sasiya Ahmed. And I'm wearing our commitment. Which Aligarh Muslim University is founded, service to humanity. India, there are countless countries that have made substantial gains in economic growth, harnessing the opportunities presented by globalization, both in the form of economic and political reform. In this aspect, India deserves credit for attracting foreign investment and fostering a climate that has created a vibrant new economy and new generation of business leaders, activists, and reformers. India is a major power these days. India is a shining example of democracy and entrepreneurship as well as the democracy. But the poverty in India that I'm going to speak to you has declined in the last decade. Youth literacy rate and childhood schools enrollment has improved, while infant mortality is down and life expectancy has increased. Yes, those of us who have been to India know that countrywide statistics do little justice in conveying the enormity of the problem of poverty that still plagues India, in particular Muslim community. Muslims in India, a vast number of people have completely missed the globalization train. What we have in India is an island of prosperity in an ocean of poverty. Poverty of this magnitude has far-reaching implications for the state and for the citizen. The abject poverty in which so many millions of Indians live is a drain on the economy. Poor people struggle to survive on the barest of essentials and are scarcely in a position to contribute to national growth and development. Poverty drains institutional governance, depletes resources, weakens leader, and crushes hope. Poverty fuels a dangerous mix of desperation and instability that has been ignited numerous times in outbursts of India in criminal violence. And this was never more apparent to us than the violence that we have witnessed in Gujarat, and especially in Ahmedabad. The second report, I'm going to talk about the finding on the education. The Rajendra Second report published in November of last year proved what we already knew, that while there is considerable variations in the conditions of Muslims across the states, the Muslim community exhibits deficits, deprivations, and practically all dimensions of development. India's 140 million Muslim people are falling behind in many key categories, including access to education, to credit, to incidents of crime. In some states, education and poverty indicators show that the Muslims have fallen behind even low-cost Hindus. The disparities are most striking when it comes to education. Consider these statistical findings. Among the Muslims, the literacy rate is about 59%, compared with more than 65% among Indians as a whole. On an average, a Muslim child attends school for 3 years and 4 months, compared with a national average of 4 years. Less than 4% of Muslims graduate from school, compared with 6% of the total population. Less than 2% of the Muslim students goes to the elite Indian Institute of Technologies. About 55% of Muslims in villages and 60% in urban areas have never been to school. The national average is 40% in rural areas and 20% in urban areas. In rural areas, less than 1% of Muslims graduate, while in urban areas, only about 3% graduate. The second report has deepened our understanding of how entrenched poverty in the Indian Muslim community has become. Basic access to sanitation, education, nutrition, and healthcare is the base of a pyramid that prohibits our community from advancing. The majority of the workers in the Muslim community are unskilled wage earners, and Muslims are underrepresented in every regular salaried civil service positions. High up the value chain, the situation remains bleak. The second report states that the flow of credit to the Muslims is quite limited, and the non-availability of credit has far-reaching implications of the socioeconomic and educational status of the community. Lack of access to education, high wages, creates a vicious cycle that crushes man's hope for improvement. Now I'm going to talk to you about social entrepreneurship. A politician who stands before you and preach pious gratitude about the businessman and entrepreneurs. I can only speak to you about the problem that I see it, the practical ways that I can think we can solve it. As an entrepreneur, I look at India and see the potential of the free enterprise and creativity to unlock some of the intractable problems the Muslim community faces today. The entrepreneurial spirit may not be fueled by greed, a relentless pursuit of profit maximization. On the contrary, I believe there's an approach to business and entrepreneurship that can uplift all Indians and improve the conditions of those mired in abject poverty without conceding competitiveness and sacrificing the bottom line. The enormous success of Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, the microcredit finance project that began in Bangladesh in 1974, spawned an entire discipline and new methodology for combating the root causes of poverty around the world. His experiment is living proof that the corporations and businessmen can find ways to act responsibly without sacrificing profit, and the markets can reward good stewardship for increased revenues. In India, the entrepreneurship that will benefit society is that we consider how business is done, not just how much business is done. If the private enterprise is to thrive, then it must be adept to responding to change. The dynamism, the ability to face up risk and uncertainty with ingenuity and creativity is precisely what drives developing economies to the forefront. The opposite of which is laziness and complacency. Organizations, be they public or the private, must constantly reinvent themselves and else become obsolete and useless to those who consume their product and services. India, the ideas must be, as they say, incubated, nurtured with the creative energy of not just one or two people, but often entire teams of strategists and problems. Herein lies a great opportunity for the minority communities in India. A long-term vision that combines the human resource development with the literacy to provide a solid foundation for promoting free enterprise and entrepreneurial activity. We must also recognize where the good opportunities lie and focus on our energy on those opportunities. While building my business in the United States for the last 15 years, I have learned that the entrepreneurs in the West function at the fringes, looking for breakthrough in the technologies and innovation that will change the way people do business. In places like India, the entrepreneur space is much closer to the center. The greatest opportunity often lies in providing the most basic services that the government has failed or is incapable of delivering. Identifying and exploiting these opportunities in energy production, distribution, education, transportation, communications will be essential for the long-term success and development of the Muslim community in India. For any of this to happen, we must train a generation of Muslims with the skills to excel as a leader in business, in the civil service, in the creation of culture and art, which creates pride and honor in the contribution that we, as Muslims living in a society, are able to make. I was born in a middle-class Indian family, much like the ones that many of you are from. My parents instilled in me a love of education and commitment to community, commitment to charity. My years at Aligarh were among the most fulfilling of my life, where my professor introduced me to the world of literature, art, and mathematics. I loved Aligarh with a love of knowledge, but most importantly, my years at the university oriented my heart towards the good ethics and the principle of service, and the hope that I'll be able to improve the lives of people around me. I can say to you without a doubt, my success as an entrepreneur in the United States is no small way indebted to the Aligarh Muslim University values that I have carried with me for many, many years. I built my company of several $100 million with an aim for making profit, but never did I lose sight of the underlying commitment to excellence and to good ethics in my dealings with employees and clients. Now that I've given you problems, what should we do? Let's just speak about poverty. Our most potent weapon against poverty will be our pocketbook. But let us be honest, the nations of the World International Organization have given billions and billions of dollars in aid to Africa, Asia, and Latin America. In spite of the unprecedented levels of aid, more and more people end up more poor year after year. So money is not alone the solution. Muslims are undoubtedly the most generous people in the world. Charity remains an obligation upon us as a means of spiritual purification. Yet it has been shown that poor people trying to break out of poverty would much rather be given an opportunity to improve their condition by their own work rather than simply receive another handout. Our investment in the Indian Muslim community must therefore embrace a vision for what they can contribute to India and to the international community years into the future. Where the racism and hatred are prevalent, we must promote interfaith dialogue and bring people from different communities together to work on social projects. The government and the private sector can play a positive role in building greater trust and cooperation in pursuit of peace and national unity. Let me speak to you about education. The greatest gift we can give is that of education, which empowers the mind and uplifts the soul. Education enhances the dignity of human beings and increases his or her self-respect. In his speech on January 8, 1877, in honor of the foundations of Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College in Aligarh, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan acknowledged, nothing could remove the obstacle to progress for Indian Muslims than education. The World Bank, many decades later, echoes the same sentiment that education is central to development. It empowers people, it strengthens nation. It is a powerful equalizer for opening doors to all to lift themselves out of poverty. By promoting education, we mean to create complete human beings, not disputed balance within an intellect which seeks to understand God and implement the message of the prophets, and then rational mind, which, when nurtured and developed, can make us the leaders in our society. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan has emphasized acquisition of knowledge of science and technology is the only solution to the problems of the Muslims. By building schools, hospitals, and offering scholarship, we can give Muslim youth of India a chance to gain the advanced scientific and technological skills to compete with their countrymen who have reaped the benefits of the international investment in India's high-tech sector and its vast outsourcing industries. Muslims require more sophisticated training in business and management sciences to transcend the level of the low-wage workers at the bottom of the economic totem pole. We know the books have given ways to the bits of information carried along the information superhighway, and that the internet can be a tremendous enabling force in the educational experience of the mankind. So in addition to scholarship, we can create an institution which provide the learning infrastructure to provide Indian Muslims with more access to knowledge and information that will ultimately lift them from the depths of the poverty. I'm going to speak about the entrepreneurship because this is who I am. A concerted effort is needed to provide employment opportunities for young people through private enterprise, especially by ensuring that the training and skill development are linked to market demands. What we need is alliance of entrepreneurs, investors, financial institutions, corporations, and media working together to influence the public policy and to catalyze innovative programs. We should help the disadvantaged young people to become entrepreneurs and to provide business mentoring and seed funding for innovative ideas. As each niche enterprise takes roots, another young leader learns how to build a business, develop a credit history, and ultimately become an employer himself or herself. We should engage in assisting Indian Muslim youth by investing in socio-economic development, by increasing the economic opportunities and inclusion, providing access to credit insurance and healthcare, enhancing communication and technology, and infrastructure. We should not be so short-sighted to be the arena of potential influence only in the rural villages and shanty towns of Muslims India. Right here in the United States, where we have migrated to, where our children's children will be born, we must do more to plant our roots, to establish our presence in the culture, in society, and in politics. This means being engaged politically, not just superficially, but rather to embrace the political process from grassroots organizing and mobilizing to local and state government. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of the non-governmental organizations working at all levels to promote education, human rights, culture, religious freedom in India. These organizations are funded by the General Scanty Foundation, which, like us, recognize the need to build a world that is more equal and just for all. We must be aware of and involved in these efforts for the sake of our brothers and sisters in India. Moreover, by engaging with these groups and with similar groups in India, with our ideas and our financial support, we can position ourselves to exert influence in changing some of the underlying policies that will create a more level playing field envisioned by the recommendation from the Secretary report. The Prime Minister of India, Mr. Manmohan Singh, his support of the report with all the controversy that surrounds us that the study has created is a positive sign that there are opportunities to work with the government to meet the needs of all citizens of India. The fact that Muslims from around the world have read and commented on the report is another step forward. Our work is given by data, by the facts, and arms with the facts. About the state of Muslims, India, our ability to exert influence on the situation is vastly improved for a condition of ignorance and disinformation. We must press for the reforms recommended by the report to be implemented by communicating through all possible channels and urging the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and the Parliament and the politicians to take resolute action. India, as a multicultural and multi-ethnic society, must work hard to ensure that the delicate balance between our groups is managed so as to avoid the criminal violence that has erupted so frequently in India's history. My dear friends and colleagues, a sense of humility brings us together as a brothers and as a countrymen, linked by a common goal to do what we can to benefit the humanity. We are concerned about the plight of our Muslim brothers and sisters in India, but we must show empathy and resolve for all those around the world afflicted by the poverty, deserving an opportunity to experience their God-given rights to live peacefully in prosperity. Indian Muslims must be made active players rather than passive victims. Our mission should be to help Indian Muslims break out this vicious cycle of poverty. Poverty does not belong in a civilized human society. Its proper place is in the museum. This is where it should be. There's a message to all of us at the top of the Aligarh Muslim University's website that it captures the essence of education. It reads, "Enter the dream and depart to serve." I implore you to depart to serve. I began this to speak with Sasiya's words at Aligarh's inaugurations. I would like to be remembering his final remarks. I and my friends and the entire community gave the pledge to build an institution in a place which was in wilderness, a desert when not even a grass grew. We built up classrooms, hostels, libraries, laboratories, and playgrounds. You have reached a particular stage, and remember one thing: that when I undertook the task, there was criticism all around against me, abuses were hurled upon me. Life had become so difficult for me that I aged before my age. I lost my hair, I lost my eyesight, but not my vision. My vision never dimmed, my determination never failed. I built an institution for you, and I'm sure you will carry the light of this institution far and wide, darkness to disappear from our now. End of quotation. Let us do our part to ensure that the desire, the drive, and the dreams of our young Indian Muslims shall never die. Let us together fulfill Sasia's dreams, his vision, and his mission. Let us keep his memory alive. Thank you. God bless.
Very nice to hear an entrepreneur talking about his personal experiences and his vision of how an impoverished Muslim community can move forward and build a life of happiness and prosperity for themselves. Thank you very much, and with this we end the session.